On today's Live Daily News, San Angelo City Council members take action on the most dangerous intersections in the city. A wrongful death jury trial continues in San Angelo, and a San Angelo high school announces it's building a new football stadium. I'm Yantis Green, and this is Live. This show is brought to you by Myers Drug. Hey Dudes shoes are very popular in San Angelo right now. Hey Dudes offer comfort and style in all-in-one shoe. Myers Drug has a large selection of Hey Dudes, including the most recent arrivals. Located at the corner of Chadbourn and Beauregard in the center of historic downtown San Angelo, you can shop there Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and then on Saturdays, 10 to 2. Myers Drug is more than just a pharmacy. It's San Angelo's finest gift shop, too. See more at myersdrug.com. The Texas Department of Transportation has conducted a study in which the top 6 most dangerous intersections in San Angelo were identified. The 6 intersections are Sunset and Southwest Boulevard, Sherwood Way and Arden Road, Avenue L and Chadbourn, Bryant and 29th, Bryant and Knickerbocker, and Bryant at 19th. Thanks to the survey, the city was able to receive HSIP grants to redesign and improve those intersections. Here's how Operations Director Patrick Frerick explained it.
This item is in conjunction with a Highway Safety Improvement Grant, or HSIP grant, that we were awarded through TxDOT for the improvement of the safety components of six intersections throughout town. The HSIP is specifically designed to improve the safety value of those, and those intersections are ranked based on the number of vehicular and pedestrian accidents at the particular intersections. So this will be a big improvement, as well as updating intersections that are well exceeding their useful life right now.
The project is designed to ensure the safety of motorists in San Angelo. Also, as we reported at the time, 33-year-old Jacob Martinez paid the ultimate price after he was hit by a vehicle and killed while riding his bicycle on Thanksgiving Eve in 2019. Monday, we told you that the jury had been selected for the wrongful death jury trial of Clayton Dunn in District Court in San Angelo for that death. Today, we can confirm that Dunn has pleaded not guilty to the charge of an accident causing an accident involving death. Dunn and his defense attorney, John Sutton, will now go head-to-head against Assistant District Attorney Richard Villarreal in District Court. The trial is in its second day, and we will update that story again on Wednesday. Also, an alleged murderer has been indicted by a Tom Green County grand jury for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for shooting another man and threatening to kill a woman. Paul Zipper has been indicted on 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after a deadly altercation at a residence on Dena Drive. Inside the garage there, Zipper allegedly shot and killed Sean Turbo Clark and shot another male victim. A woman claiming to be the gunshot victim's girlfriend said she heard a loud noise and witnessed her boyfriend fall over with a gunshot wound. The woman then stated that Zipper threatened to shoot her. She did manage to convince Zipper to let her take her boyfriend to the hospital. Zipper then loaded up Clark's body and dumped it in Erie County. For more on those stories, visit sanangelolive.com. And football season is approaching fast, and for the TLCA Eagles, they just got a huge boost in morale. On Monday night during Meet the Eagles, Superintendent Ron Ledbetter made a huge announcement regarding the future of TLCA Eagle football. Let's listen.
You love it. You sacrifice, you work hard every day, you do all kinds of things. Tell me, what do you think about, or what would you think about playing football right here where you stand in a brand new stadium? We want to reveal to you tonight, if you'll look down in the end zone over here to my left, your right, you can see the ground has been broken. Okay, the ground has been broken for a new locker room, weight room, concession area, public restrooms, All of that is going to be in phase one. Now, this is what I want you to really get. We're going to build a stadium right here off the loop. This stadium will be a turf stadium, same turf that you see when you go watch the Cowboys in Dallas or watch them on TV, whatever that might be. But that high quality turf field is going to be right here where I'm standing.
That's right. The TLCA Eagles are moving out of Lakeview Stadium and into a brand new stadium that they'll build there at their facility in the Bluffs on the TLCA campus. Because TLCA is a public charter school, the project will require some private funding. To donate, go to the story on sanangelolive.com and click on the link. Wednesday is the first day of classes at all San Angelo ISD campuses and the majority of other school districts in the area as well. It is also the beginning of Angelo State University's Rambunctious Week, so there will be a lot going on in San Angelo. After the break, conservative political activist Joseph Vargas joins Joe Hyde to talk about his book and share his opinion on the controversial Evan Berryhill case. But before that, here's a quick message from Jim Bass Ford.
Buying a new car or truck is a little different right now, but at Jim Bass Ford, we make it really easy. Just visit JimBassFord.com and you can order a vehicle just the way you want it. Color, trim level, equipment, and the list goes on. And when you order a new vehicle from Jim Bass, we'll even deliver it right to your door. So go to JimBassFord.com and start your order today, or visit us in person at the corner of Houston Hart and Arden Road.
Live, and to my right is Joseph Vargas. He is a Republican Party political strategist and consultant. Joseph, you worked on a lot of campaigns across the state of Texas. And anyway, he just wrote a book, and we're going to talk about it. It's The Democrat Modus Operandi.
Yes, that is correct, Joe.
You're being quiet.
Well, the book, yes, thanks for the invite. And the book, The Democrat Modus Operandi, I wrote that to kind of like showcase how the Democrat Party has gone so far left that they used emotion, negative branding, selective outrage, and the change of language to actually make conservatives and pretty much whole society submit to the rhetoric.
So you submit, you're saying you use an emotion, and the other one, give me a couple more of these one more time.
For example, emotion. Emotion, the reason that the leftist party uses emotion is because the part of the brain that interprets emotion is called the limbic system. Very powerful. And the way you can even verify that. Limbic. Yes, that's a part of the brain that interprets emotion. So Democrats know that that's a very powerful thing because that's emotion. If they can control and tap into your emotion, then they could influence your voting behavior or how actually you function in society. Mm-hmm. So everything that they push has an emotional appeal because emotions are more retainable to the human brain than facts or figures. And if you want to put that to the test, if you ever meet anyone, you may not remember their name or not remember a lot of things that you talked about, but you always remember how they made you feel. So the Democrat uses a lot in a lot of their political campaigns. Everything is emotional. There's always either something extremely sad about it or something where everybody, it's something holier than thou.
So when Beto O'Rourke, the last week, when he told that Republican protester at his rally that you MFers, he went off on him about guns, powerful guns in Vietnam, used in Vietnam to pierce armor and things like that. That was a pure emotional argument. It had nothing to do with facts.
Exactly, and he used that because he knows that the audience will get emotional about it and then support it. It gives them a cause. Mm-hmm. And when they get behind an argument that's emotional, it makes them feel like they're being a part of something that's really for the greater good.
Well, here locally, have you been following the case that we've been reporting on of Evan Berryhill and also Army veteran Ronnie Wagner, who've been, brought up on charges by our own county attorney because we have kind of like this mob mentality that's been riled up by outsiders basically leftist, progressive activists have used bots and fake accounts and things like that online, and also harassing phone calls to our law enforcement to try to get these people arrested and shamed in public so they can start another round of this online shaming. Do you have any insights on why that's being done?
Well, once again, that goes back to, and if you've read my book, I talk about that. The first step is always the emotion. The emotion means they got you trapped, and you feel like you're a part of something that's for the greater good. The second part is
so people who are getting caught up in this on side of the people who are persecuting.
I mean, they feel they're on the right side.
They
They're
feel
doing the right thing.
they feel that they're doing God's work.
Exactly. They
Right.
feel like they're righteous for doing it. So the next thing is cause any opposition to it is negatively branded. So anybody who's opposed to it is actually branded.
So that's what happens with us. If we expose or we tell the other side of the story, then we get hit with the same amount of some awful bot traffic and awful phone calls and things like that. They're trying to punish us for just being the messenger.
Well, anybody that actually goes against it, you're not being socially complicit. So therefore, you have to be portrayed as an evil person to lose credibility. So that's what the negative branding comes in.
Right. So you think they're doing a good job here on this case?
Who?
The progressives from out of town who are trying to manipulate our court system.
I mean, Joe, the progressives have been extremely successful for the last probably 50 years, and they put the people in the right place. They put them in the district attorney's office and all these county attorney's office. They put them in the school boards. They put them in city councils in key positions that they know that they're going to be able to push their agenda.
So more of this is in the book, The Democrat Modus Operandi, written by Joseph Vargas from San Angelo, Republican political consultant. Let's turn to let's turn to more politics since you're a consultant. What's the score going to be in the Abbott versus Beto race?
I mean, I think it may be closer than maybe a lot of people think, but I think at the end Abbott will actually win. And that's because a lot of people, especially like in the Valley, you've seen a lot of Hispanics are turning to the Republican vote.
Why is that? Traditionally, and what we were told, back in the 90s was there's going to be this great demographic shift, and there's no way a Republican can ever win another race in America. Yet we are seeing, and it's because of all the immigration from Mexico and Guatemala and now Honduras and Nicaragua, you name it. They're coming over our border, they're flooding it. A lot of them, like California, they're getting, driver's license, and eventually they're voting. That the illegals are voting. So why did this demographic shift they were predicting back in the 90s not happen?
Well, a couple of factors. First of all, you have to keep in mind that a lot of the Hispanics that are here, either they are or their parents or grandparents are from countries that were really collapsed due to socialism and communism. So they're very familiar with the rhetoric.
So like the Cubans or the Venezuelans?
Exactly. If you hear the Cubans, most of the Cubans, especially you can see them in Florida, once they hear, the Democrats talking about they need to actually do gun control, they remember Fidel Castro used that same technique. And Fidel Castro also used the emotional technique, saying we all need to love each other, we're all one people.
Yeah, Jesus.
Guns are bad, so let's all work together. So it raises a flag. They say, wait a minute, I remember this. Now, a lot of other people, they remember, inclusive the rhetoric, when you're hearing the Democrats always talk about the rich. They remember Chavez in Venezuela, who also, he demonized.
He railed against the rich.
Exactly.
Turned it into a class war.
And then what were the results? So the same thing has happened with a lot of the people that come in from Mexico and South America. So they're hearing a lot of this rhetoric and they're seeing something is actually not right. A lot of them were told at the very beginning, you can't vote Republican because the Republican Party is racist. But a lot of the people that were telling them, you got to be careful because the Democrat agenda, it's really turning socialist and communist. And now they're actually seeing it. A lot of people were trying to be silenced without being told that it was a conspiracy theory. But now more and more, a lot of the things that were actually said that were going to happen have actually come to be.
So do you think that the Latino vote, particularly in South Texas, I guess we can go from Harlingen, McAllen, all the way up to Del Rio. Do you think that, I remember, I lived in Del Rio for many, many years. And I remember one time they elected the first Republican sheriff in Val Verde County in 114 years. That was the first time ever. Of course, they blamed it on the base, the absentee votes from the base. But do you think that you look at the election map after every major election and you just see blue Valley, blue Laredo, blue Del Rio. Well, Del Rio kind of goes back and forth between blue and red. Do you think that's going to be all red soon?
It pretty much already is. Even if you look in the last election, a lot of those cities that you mentioned, like in Valverde County, Del Rio, Trump won that county. Laredo, that was one of the greatest turn percentage-wise to red. And you're seeing it all over the valley. Districts and counties that were normally blue, they're turning red. And that is really the awakening of people actually saying, what is actually going on? It has a lot to do with the social issues too.
Right.
You know, the values of the Hispanic are normally pro-Christian, pro-traditional family, pro-life, which is something that doesn't align with the Democrat platform. So a lot of these things were not being talked about, but now a lot of the credit has to also be given to a lot of people down there in the border, Hispanics, took it upon themselves to go and talk to the Hispanics and inform them of what actually the difference between the platforms.
One of the things Alan West told me, and we were talking about how minorities do not feel welcome in the Republican Party. He says because you don't go into the cities and talk to them, right?
Right.
So when a gringo walks into a Hispanic room, what do they do? Like, get out of here, gringo? Or I mean, how does it work?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, because when he was that's another good point right there. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West was the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas.
Right.
So,
and he's a black man.
And he's a black man. So the notion that in Texas Republicans are racist doesn't fit the narrative. Now what he did when he was the chairman, he reached out to Alma Perez Jackson, who was a former vice chair of the party, and her being Hispanic, he asked her to create what is now the Juan Seguin Society.
Okay.
It actually does outreach to Hispanics. Now Alma reached out to me, and I'm privileged to serve as a vice president. That organization, what we do, we go in there and we train everything from county chairs, precinct chairs, and just Republicans in general, how to talk to Hispanics, especially because you have to understand that a lot of Hispanics have been told Republicans are racist, they don't like you, they're evil people, they've been demonized. So how do you talk to somebody that has been told?
And that's the question. How, I mean, particularly right now where we have the shifting demographics, how does a gringo talk to a Hispanic about anything, about politics? I mean, usually, you and I, we've known each other for years and we're friends, and and we're colorblind in our relationship. But, there is that perception that, I have a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, is a Democrat political operative in Del Rio. And he says, the only reason I'm not a Republican is because I'm not welcome there because of who I am. But, I talk to him, I say, yeah, you are. Come on, man. And he doesn't believe me. So how do you credibly approach that question and recruit them to come to the other side?
Once again, you have to understand that a lot of them have been pretty much just taught emotionally to dislike the Republican Party. So the way I start talking, I always talk to them, why did they come to the United States? What were they fleeing? They were fleeing oppression.
But what about the third generation guy? I mean, the third, fourth, fifth generation, or the guy whose parents were here since the Alamo.
Okay. Well, the thing is that a lot of these people, they're still very loyal to what their great-granddad talked about, too. Now, when you're talking to the third or fourth, even fifth generation Hispanics, the social issues, a lot of people say, I'm not welcome in the Republican Party. I may have voted Democrat for whatever reason. Okay, how is that paying off for you? How is that going every time you go and get gas,
so you
to groceries?
Right.
How is that doing for you?
So you shouldn't the Republicans pull in an emotional argument too to pull them to their side?
Well, there's a lot of things that could be presented as emotional. I mean, one of them is, are you pro-life? Yes. Are you pro-Christian? Yes. Okay. Traditional marriage. A lot of these values do not align with the Democrat Party.
Right.
But a lot of these people don't know, because the Democrats have been very good at using this emotional argument that, you know what, you got to vote with us because those people over there are mean and they don't like you. But more and more you're seeing, even down in the Valley and in Texas, that Hispanics are actually awakening now that they're seeing, especially the social issues. I mean, you imagine a traditional Hispanic family that their second grader comes in and says, you know what, Mom and Dad, my teacher says that I don't have to be a boy anymore if I don't want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't like it,
I can see Papa getting kind of mad about that.
Can you imagine? Okay, so there's so many social issues. They're asking, what is going on? So they're taking a second look now and realizing, is this true? From how left the Democrat Party has gone, because the Democrat Party has been taken over by the leftists, very socialist people.
The progressive left. I mean,
exactly.
They're very hard charging. and they tend to label other people who don't agree with them as bad people.
Well, that's part of the skill, and that's what I talk about in the book. Because normally when you talk to a Democrat or a socialist, if you're talking about issues, they can't defend them because they haven't worked anywhere. So the first strategy is make you look bad, so you could lose credibility. And
So that way you don't even have to argue the issue. You could just
Exactly.
you can just demonize the guy and dismiss him.
and that's it. You don't have to respond to. Now, when I'm coaching candidates, I always tell them this: if you're a polling candidate, you're going to go and you're going to debate any issue, whether it be something on the border or security. I always tell the Republican, they'll show up and they got all these stats and figures ready to go. I said, you don't know what's going to happen. When you show up there, they're going to be what we call in debate changing the frame. You want to talk about statistics about crime. You want to talk about human trafficking, child trafficking, and the other person knows that they can't defend that. So what they're going to do, they're going to change the frame and get you to defend why you're not a racist, why you're not a xenophobe, why you're not a white supremacist. And if you're not smart, and you haven't gotten me to coach you on that, then you're going to fall for that. And I see a lot of candidates that fall for that. Even,
And how do
very
they
well
fall?
know.
They start defending themselves. What's the trap?
First of all, you have to know to recognize it, because most of them don't recognize it.
Right.
They may watch them on TV, they fall for it. So if I call you a racist and you start saying, I'm not a racist, look at how these friends and
What do you just say? I am a racist. So
No, you say,
What do you
well,
say?
you bring him back to the argument. You say, I know that you've been taught, that when you cannot defend the results of your issues and your policies with facts or
So you
figures
bring
to
back
call
the
me a
product-
racist.
You bring it back to the debate process.
Exactly. I said,
Right.
now, can you defend your policies with facts or figures, or by you calling me right, you just admitting that you can't defend
Right.
your policies? And usually they either come back and say, well, you always have to understand the concept of a debate, because there's parts to it, and they always want to change the frame, and you have to know how to bring them back. I always call it in my book, I talk about two things. First of all, you got to expose, and you got to educate.
Right.
And I give a lot of examples. I even go over a lot of the debates with Trump. When he was asked something, how he responded, and in my opinion, how he should have responded to expose.
So
and
you're
educate.
critiquing Trump.
The way he was, because
Right.
the questions that he was asked were not questions. They were what we call passive-aggressive questions, because they're accusations in a question.
Right.
And you have to recognize them, and you have to, I was speaking somewhere one time, and some TV station came and wanted to talk to me, and said, can we talk to you? I said, yes. His first question was, how do you feel being part of the racist Republican Party? So now, I knew that was a passive-aggressive question. So I said, well, first of all, I can tell by the nature of your question, when in reality it's not a question, it's an accusation that you're not really a journalist. I said, you're a leftist activist posing as a journalist, but also answer your question.
Right.
And so you expose, and then you educate, and then you talk about the policies.
Okay. Well, the book is The Democrat Modus Operandi. It's by Joseph Vargas. And Joseph, can you get this on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, it's on all the digital platforms, and you can also get it on my website, where you can also read my blog, keeptexasred.org.
KeepTexasRed.org. That's your blog. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming on our show. And Yantis, back to you.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
And sticking with politics, as we told you yesterday, San Angelo today is ground zero in the gubernatorial race for Texas. 4 local Republican groups are holding the Keep Texas Texas rally for Governor Greg Abbott at the Paseo at 5:30 this afternoon. Also, the Democrat nominee for governor, Robert O'Rourke, was in Abilene earlier today and will be in San Angelo at the Convention Center at 5:30 this afternoon as well. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to tune in every weekday at 4 p.m. For everyone here at San Angelo Live, I'm Yantis Green. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.